control.
Hello.
You want to?
Welcome to Conscious Parent, Conscious Kid. I don't know what to call it. Magic. My few favorite people here, Chandana Bawa, Marnie, and Isha Bawa. Thank you so much for being here and being the amazing Conscious Parent, Conscious Kid ambassadors, if I can call you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So what are we doing today? What are we talking about today? Are we talking about CPCK?
Are we?
Can I start?
Please do.
So I have been into Conscious Parent, Conscious Kids class, and I'm not a parent yet. And I always
I am a parent. I became one when I was born.
And
you've been parenting me.
I would like to say I was also, but technically, logically, I'm not married. I don't have kids. So I am not a parent. And I remember when I was first getting to the class, I asked Chandana, why am I in this class? Why? I'm not even a parent. And she's like, you will find out. So what is Conscious Parent, Conscious Kid?
Well, I can jump. Chandana, do you want to go first or?
No, Marnie, go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
So it offers a lot of classes, different classes that you can take that give you tools as a parent, as a kid, but even beyond that. So I love that you brought up that you're not yet a parent and you went to a CPCK class, because it's not just, well, all of us were a kid at one time, so we're all covered. But it's not just for parents. And we were having a chat the other day talking about setting up the Zoom. And the one thing that came up is that really Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids classes are about giving you more tools to be you. Because for so many of us, it's when it was the families that we grew up in and the way that were parented that we started to cut ourselves off, and we started to hide, and we started to shrink, and we stopped being who we actually are, because it wasn't actually okay to be that in the environment we were in. And so to sort of navigate and survive our families, how much of us did we cut off in order to maintain and be able to exist in the environment that we lived in? So Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids, it's tools for parents dealing with their kids. It's tools for kids dealing with their parents. And it's tools for every person on the planet to be able to choose and have and be more of you, and to reclaim those places where you gave you up in favor of keeping peace with the family, or in favor of pleasing mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, or what all the different things that we did rather than having us. So it's tools for all of those things.
Wow. Wow.
Well, so Chandana and Isha, how would you answer that? What is CPCK?
You put it so beautifully. Isha, you want to go first?
Okay. Thank you for that, Marnie. That was so beautiful. CPCK for me also, I've had the privilege and honor to facilitate a few times with mom. And when sitting over there facilitating with her, I've started recognizing how CPCK is so much more than what we define it to be. It's like, it is conscious parents and conscious kids, but it's also like, for me, when I look at my creations also, they're my kids too. It's like, it's also about giving birth to your creations. It's also about giving birth to your creations, bringing them out in the world, and not holding them onto you as though they're yours. Because just like when you're a parent, you want to hold on to your child, and I'm not a parent yet, but I'm just speaking for them. But like, so many times you want to hold on to your kid and be like, I want to protect my child from the ugly of the world. I want to make sure she or he doesn't get hurt. I'm going to be the lion, and I'm going to roar for this one, and I'm going to make sure nothing harms her. A lot of times I've seen myself do that with my creations too. And for me, CPCK has been huge in recognizing and recognizing that my creations are here to fly too, just the way the kids, we kids, all of us, we are somebody's kids, whether we are parents and children, like we're all here to fly with each other. And
I love that so much. I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and it wasn't about CPCK, but it was about creation. And so much what you just said, Isha. And we were looking at, I work with different things within Access. I'm on different gaggles and different creations. And one of them is ACTV. And we were looking at ACTV, and what I said, the way it's being created, it's like the child who was born into the world and nobody has put any projections on it. Nobody has had any expectations on it. Nobody has said you should and you shouldn't. It must look this way. You must act this way. You must show up this way. Everybody has looked at this creation and went, what would you like to be? Who are you today? How would you like to show up today? And with that energy, it's just like blossoming and flourishing. And so we were having this very same conversation of what you just said about our creations being like kids. And when we don't project at them and we don't set the expectations and we don't try to control it, then they get to flourish. So yes, beautiful. Love it.
Wow. Beautiful. In fact, really, really beautiful. Because I think that's where our first creation actually starts from, right? And where the child actually is looked at as a product. You know, when you have a baby and you have your own child, you start to look at it almost as a product and start to create it, so the world can put a certain value on that child, and you can be the parent to that child who has great value out there in the world. And you start by parenting your child from a space of needing to be seen the correct way, the right parent, which also starts to come from how you were parented. You know, how much did we see our parents, our mom, dads, parenting us? I don't want to say the wrong way or the right way, but just a way that didn't really expand their universe or ours. It was more of, you have to do this because this is the way to do it. There was no question asked. And I think they did really well with the tools that they had, because look at what we are today. We're not that bad, right?
not even close. Not even close.
But what can we do with these wonderful tools of CPCK? You know, when you have those tools and you start to realize, like Marnie said, it's not just about parenting. It's not about putting on a diaper or how much milk you're supposed to feed your child at 6 months. No, it's not about that. We don't tell you what age to put your child into school, or what age not to put a child into school. It's more of actually being present with your child. It's that aggressive presence with every moment of being with your child, physically or not, along with being present with your parents, along with being present with your spouse, with your partners, and overall being present with you. So for me, it really brings me into the space of, hey, who am I? What am I? It's like it creates this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy of true consciousness. Like when we call it conscious parent, conscious kids, it's really about being the conscious being. Because when you're being that, every creation of yours flourishes. Every relationship, every creation.
Very beautifully put.
Thank you.
Samantha, were you raising your hand for like a question or something? Or?
Yeah, something that it's so beautiful that many workshops or classes in Access Consciousness is truly stepping into that space of what's true for you. And there are many ways we really get to that, and it's beautiful really exploring the CPCK. What came up as a question while you guys were speaking is how much of biomimicking of either, you know, the mental patterns or beliefs of parents are we really doing? How much of the bodily discomforts are we taking on as children? And is that going to really open ways with, you know, parents and kids and their bodies? Could you shed some light on that?
Marnie, you want to go for it?
Yeah, so I just want to see if I understand. So how much of the sort of where we're following into the patterns of how we were raised rather than, yes. And we all do it because our example, if you will, of how to be a parent is, of course, comes from the parents that we have. And then you've also have society, which tells you what a good parent is and what a bad parent is and how you should parent. And then you've got religions that tell you how you should parent. So there's all of these messages. And then there's all of these ways, like you brought up, the mimicking of our parents. And if we don't stop and ask a question, then we just carry on the patterns that have been handed down for generation after generation after generation. And we just keep doing the same things that have been done forever and ever. But if we start to get that, it's the whole thing of 98% of our thoughts, feelings, emotions aren't ours. We've picked them up. So how much are we parenting, or how much are we even being a kid based on the 98% of the thoughts, feelings, emotions that aren't ours? So to me, the first thing is to recognize that, wow, unless I am willing to ask a question, then I'm just going to carry on what's been carried on forever and ever. If I would like something different, if I would like more ease, if I would like to know what else is possible, then I really need to be willing to say, who does this belong to? For every thought, every feeling, every emotion. And I've noticed this with my kids. I mean, talk about the mimicking. When my oldest was young, and I was the kid, we had to eat everything on our plate. I mean, every last thing had to be eaten. And my mom used to make liver and onions, which were the worst thing. And my brother and I would sit there literally till like 11 o'clock at night, because we did not get to get down from the table till we ate the liver and onions. But so I remember my kid being little, and I had given him such a little amount of food, and he wasn't eating it, and wanting to just plate, not even all of it, but you need to eat what's on your plate. And this was before I had the tools of access, but there was a little something that went, well, whose idea was that? And is that actually true? And do I really wish to carry that on? And so I went, I didn't have the tools, so I didn't say interesting point of view or who does this belong to in words, but I was the energy of asking a question rather than buying into the point of view that was put on me as a kid. So I love your question, Samantha, and what I would say is it really starts with the choice to recognize that we don't have to do it the way it's been done. There is a different possibility. And the way to access that is to start to go to ask questions and to be interesting point of view about absolutely everything. Your kid's throwing a tantrum on the floor. Well, he shouldn't be doing that. This makes me look like a bad parent. I must get the situation under control. What will people think of me? Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. I wonder what's actually going on here. What are they aware of? What am I aware of? Then all of a sudden, instead of this like honing in and trying to fix and control what you can't control, then you go, and you see things you didn't see before. You have awareness you didn't have before. You go, I could do that. Or that's this, I could ask that question. So you open up the space. So that's a long answer to your question. Isha or Chandana, do you want to add to that one?
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Kanika.
Hi, Kanika. How are you?
So, you know what? I was interviewing some parents in terms of how would you like to parent your child? And, they would go on saying, oh, I'm parenting them very well. I'm sending them to the best of schools. I'm giving them all the curricular activities possible. And, my child is brilliant with this. My child is brilliant with that. But then I was like, did you ask your child what he or she would want to do? And she's like, what is the need for that? It's like, I set the rules. I set everything. And the platter is full and they just pick it up from there. I was like, oh, so you don't give any choice to the child. Like, choice, what is that? So it's funny that, I know that there needs to be a choice given to a child, but here there are these unknown people who think choice is nothing. It's they who decide what gets to be done and what is best for the child. So it's funny, how do we get across that choice element to a parent? Can you speak more about that?
Well, the first thing I would say is if they aren't asking a question, you can't. Because if they're not asking a question and they've concluded they've got the right way to parent and that's what they're doing, there's not actually an open door for you to present a different possibility. Perhaps when the child starts to go because they don't like being controlled, then the parent might ask a question because their perfect plan is no longer the perfect plan. But until they ask, there's nowhere to go. But so I would be asking, how can I be an invitation to the energy of choice with the parents and the children? And it may not be words, but how can I be the invitation by being choice, by offering choice, by walking through the world with choice and offering choice? How can I be an invitation to that? And then let them continue to create the reality. Because all of us can attest, if anybody has tried to tell us what is best for us, how we should behave, where we should be going in life, there will come a point where we're like, no, done, and we just won't do it anymore. So when kids grow up in that environment, most of them will hit the point of what we call rebellion. And then the parents are like, I don't know, I did everything right. I don't understand what's wrong with this kid. I don't know why they're rebelling. They've given them everything. And it's what you said. They weren't given the choice. They were told what they wanted to have and what they should want to have and what they were going to have. So I guess to shorten up that long answer is ask for you to be the invitation to choice and a different possibility. And just be there, interesting point of view with the parents that are choosing that. And if there comes a point where they're like, whoa, what happened? Or they ask a question, then you have a space to say, there is a different possibility. Does that make sense? Cool. Thank you for your question. Yeah, and Isha or Chandana, anything? Or Samantha? Did you want to say something? Yeah.
Oh, I had another question. I'll wait for Isha to finish something that she was looking to share.
I won't take too long. I'll just take 1 second. But like just that, you being you and your relationship being beyond this reality with your child, when both of you share something that's so different, that is not seen as common, everyone is going to wonder, what is that? So just like Marnie said, you being you with your child is an invitation you are being to others to get invited into a space of knowing and being willing to step into a space of creating something different with their kid if they're willing to.
And just a quick story, like how you being that with your kids, it can impact the kids, even if the parents never change the way they parent. And I have Aaron, my 11-year-old, he has friends come over, and my favorite thing to do with all of the kids, because it's hilarious to watch their reaction, is I live in a state, Colorado in the United States, where very, very strong points of view about eating healthy, and kids shouldn't be having sugar, and they shouldn't drink soda, and they shouldn't have, cake, and they shouldn't whatever. And their parents very regulate everything they eat. So they come to my house and I open the cupboards and there's candy and chocolates and there's healthy things too. There's all the choices. And I go, here you go. You can have any of this anytime you want. You just need one thing. You ask your body if it actually wants it. And they get it. Doesn't matter if their parents know access. They get, okay. And then I get all these, anything? Really? But my favorite is I had a kid say to me, he'd been over a few times, 5 or 6 times. And about the 6th time he said, I love coming to your house. I get to choose. And the thing, I was like, but he knows, even if he doesn't get to in this environment that he calls home over here, he knows he gets to choose in some arena, and he will take that with him for all of his life. Oh, I have choice. Because how many of us grew up in the controlled environment and didn't know we had choice? When someone came along and said, well, but you could choose something else, you're like, what? No, I can't. No, I'm not free to. So him getting at 11 years old, I get to choose. He knows the energy and what that feels like to be able to choose, and he'll take that with him. So I say that to say, how much does you being you and parenting the way you parent actually offer the invitation to the kids in your world, even if that's not their home environment? They see a different possibility.
Also, could I please come in like for a minute?
Yes.
So I love what all of you said, like Marnie, Isha, and Chandana have been saying that, you being you. And just to use as an example, the mother-daughter duo, Chandana and Isha, have been an inspiration for that. Like, I'm not saying they have the perfect relationship. They don't. I haven't personally seen them fight, but I know they have fights too. But them being them have inspired me. I know I will have kids at some point, that there is a possibility of having a relationship like that, like having to be able to be that with my child. And somewhere created with my mother too. Like, I know that she's not in the same space as Channa is as a mother. However, there is so much more ease with my mother. There's so much more joy, and I know, like, when she's angry, I just need to pull her leg and she'll just, everything else will sort of just work out. So it's, yeah, thank you for that.
When you stop, thank you for saying that, Reshma. Also, when you stop, sorry, Sam, I promise not to make it long. Also, when we are willing to not make it significant, I'm the mother and you're the child, and you follow what I say and what I know. There's a certain amount of ease that starts to. It's literally like something that starts to merge into the relationship. It like starts to flow into the relationship, and it merges the into the two people. There's no longer me and you, and there's a separation like the relationship. It's more of something that brings you together. It's that amalgamation. It's that together. It's that oneness where it's not significant to have either or. It's not significant what I know is against what you know, and what I know is more than what you know. It's more of, hey, I know this, what do you know? It's like, can you tell me what you know? And that just starts to, create so much more and so much more. And the significance of what I know versus what you know starts to melt out of the relationship. Yeah, Sam, you were saying something, darling.
So I just had a question to which pretty much all the four of you shared already. I think I've put that question there. How would this space of adding consciousness to the area of parenting contribute to the world?
That is a beautiful question. And when you look at consciousness, includes everyone and everything, judges nothing and no one, doesn't exclude. It includes, never excludes, doesn't judge, no point of view. If we were that with parenting, oh my gosh, the whole world would be a different place. Because start with us as parents. How much do we judge ourselves for not doing it right? How much do we feel like we really cannot screw this area up? How much does the world tell us that that's actually a valid point of view and you better get this thing correct? So how much is that anti-consciousness of judge me, constant self-scrutiny of am I doing a good job? Am I getting this right? And then projecting at our kids, they must behave in the way we think they should behave. Otherwise it looks bad. And then I'm being a bad parent. So somehow I have to control this uncontrollable force so that I don't look bad. It starts there. And then we go to kids who care for their parents and they have a kindness to their parents and an awareness to their parents. And they have this desire to just engage in this natural thing of communion with their parents. But then they're not invited to that because we're too busy judging ourselves. And then they're frustrated and they're judging themselves. Why can't they get it right? And the whole thing is just blah, and it continues. But if you bring the energy of consciousness, which is what we've saying, what Chandana just said beautifully, I'm being me, Isha's being her. It's like we're present, we're being who we be. We're not judging anyone or anything. We're including everyone and everything. We're asking questions. The space of what would be created in the world, whole thing would change. Whole thing would change.
What you're sharing right now is so phenomenal. I know it's accessible, but at the moment, so many of us are really operating from a definition, a form and structure of this is what a parent is.
Yes.
And I wonder what we can create, really stepping out of that definition of who a parent is and can be, or the invitation is what can they be. I wonder what that is gonna be like, and how much that's going to change even then.
Yes, and it's the thing of, like, you asked the question of the world, and sometimes when we look at the world, we go and we see what actually is, we go, well, that feels too big to actually change the entire world with consciousness. But it's what we do that makes it possible in the world. So it's every single parent, child, person on the planet that chooses to include and not exclude, and to have allowance instead of judgment, and gratitude instead of judgment, the space opens up. So it's, don't underestimate what your choice to be different in the world creates. For me, with what you just asked, interesting point of view is my favorite. Did I cut out? Yep. I have my internet's unstable.
No, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. It said internet unstable. I was like,
yeah, that's fine.
I can now. You froze for a second. So, but interesting point of view. I have that point of view about absolutely everything. I mean, your kid's not happy and you find yourself trying to come in and make them happy and go, wow, interesting point of view. I have the point of view. It's my job to make my children happy. Or you're the kid and, your parent is whatever. They're, adult parents, whatever. You're an adult kid, adult parents. Your parents are being less than kind to you. And you have the point of view, you have to sit there and take it, rather than go, you know what, I'm going to go here now because this isn't actually kind to me, so I'm going to choose something else. So interesting point of view. I have the point of view that it's okay for my parents to abuse me, and I'm speaking like more to even adult children who your parents want to rail on you for whatever, and you're both adults and you're like, wait a minute, no, you don't actually get to do this anymore. So interesting point of view. I have the point of view, they're my parents, I must therefore take it. Whatever it is, whatever points of view we've bought about being a parent, being a kid, if we start to use the tool interesting point of view, I have that point of view, and just say it and go, just an interesting point of view, doesn't mean it's true. And if it was just an interesting point of view, not true, what would I like to choose and what would I know? And that's really a pragmatic step to getting to the place of inviting consciousness into parenting.
I'm looking forward to all the unsaid rule books of parenting that's gonna burn up with this conversation. Yes. So Yay. When are you coming to India? Are you coming to India?
I am coming to India. I am coming in January. Is it I keep forgetting if it's the 11th.
11th and 12th.
Okay. Yes, and we have been looking at different cities and we haven't actually chosen yet because we're like a ping pong ball going, oh, we should go here, we should go there, we should go there. So
pretty much childlike, wanting to be everywhere at the same time.
Yeah. And I would just say with that, and so it's a 2-day class and it's going to be Chandana and Isha and myself facilitating it. Super excited for a lot of reasons. I've never been to India and I'm very excited. And Chandana and Isha are, as Rishma was saying, they're beautiful people. And the communion the two of them have is really a beautiful thing. So when Chandana said, do you want to come and facilitate? I was like, yes, and Isha too, please, because we all three need to do this. So I'm very excited.
I have something to say in this.
Yes.
No other modality that I've come across has ever spoken so much about parenting being out of choice, parenting being out of allowance, parenting being out of interesting point of view. I mean, I have read books because I've got 2 children and I've read almost every book, right from pregnancy till now. But the beauty of Access is it gives you a plethora of tools to work upon, and that makes you work upon, and in turn changes the child. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's nothing. It's more. I mean, what I'm saying is, it's all about choice. It's so beautiful.
Yes,
it is, and that isn't something. Oh, Chandana, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, not at all. Go ahead.
It's not something we're told. Is that we can create it from choice. And speaking of the burning up the rule book, like one of the things, the ideas in parenting is that somebody wins and somebody loses. Either the parent gets to create their life and have what they want and the children pay the price, or children get to rule the roost and be in control, and the parents have to sacrifice themselves down to the very last thing for their kids. And this is a very common point of view that I really get goes across a lot of cultures and countries. And what if it's not true? What if there's a simple, easy way to co-create with your kids and with your parents, where it's a contribution to everyone and everybody wins? Nobody loses. Everybody gets to choose and create. And I can say, and I'm going to say that Chandana and Isha can say this too, it is possible. And I say it is possible because with my kids, we have created that. And again, it doesn't mean we don't have moments like you guys yell at each other. We have our moments of, you know, WTF, what's going on up in here? No. And we have the tools to not stay stuck with anything, to ask questions and create something different so quickly. And the thing I would also say is, it is actually true that it can be ease. It can be ease, and it can be joyful, and it can be one of the greatest contributions in your life.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one, Marnie. There's ease with the creation, and there's something that you know that you both are creating together, and you're creating a future, right? It's like you may be parenting today, but whatever you, that, like Isha spoke initially, that it's like creating something. It's like creating a project, or writing a book, or creating something. In this case, you are parenting a child you're truly creating for the future with every choice that you're making in the moment. And how present would you have to be for that? Knowing that every choice you're making, every single choice you're making, is going to create something in the future.
Can I ask a question to that?
Can I quickly add something to that?
Yes,
if that's
please.
okay. Okay. Also, what I'd love to add is, as parents, as kids, there's so much of a fight for and fight against all the projections and judgments, separations, rejections as to how you should be similar or how you must not be similar to each other. And with that, there's so many conflicts which are under surface. Sometimes they come up on the surface if you're actually brave enough to look at it and change it. But otherwise, there's so much of a fight for and fight against all of that goes on, that there's no space of truly receiving the gift of each other in that and creating with each other. And if I can say, Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids has been one of the biggest contributions to me personally speaking, and actually being willing to look at how much of a fight goes on and all of that. And if we're being willing to go beyond that, you can choose to see the gift of co-creation with the parent and the child, and there's no fight, and there's no conflict. You don't have to fight for and fight against any projections and judgments and separations, even each other's. Like Marnie said, you both get to win. You both are two different individuals, two different infinite beings, and two infinite beings can have two different points of views. None are right, none are wrong.
Beautifully said.
Could I add in there, please?
Yes, go.
I've been in 2 classes. I've been very lucky. I've chosen to be in 2 classes. And I've said this before on calls, but I don't think I've emphasized enough of how much it has changed my life. The 2-day class is such a gift. I'm not a parent yet. I'm not married yet, but I have parents, and I've been a kid. And it's crazy that how it has changed my relationship with my father. I have so much more communion. And just as Isha said, I receive more from him today than I have in the last 29 years of my life. And it's just brilliant. And not only has it changed my relationship with my father and my mother, but also my partner. It's just so funny how the dynamics play out, and how everything shifts. It's just not only with your parents or your kids. It's just everything. So thank you.
It's almost like a relationship class, right? Creationship.
Yeah, creationship is the right word, I would say, because it's not only relationship we covered in that class. It's money, it's bodies, it's choice, it's, I don't know, so much more.
Yes, so true. Yeah, so we're excited. We're excited to be co-facilitating for the first time in India. Like Marnie said, we don't know which city, but we will know soon.
But do ping
We
us
do
and
know
tell
which
us,
country though.
do ping us and tell us where you'd like to be, and we'll see where we can go with this. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yes. And watch out for more, some yummy stuff coming up with the three of us across the country, across the world. And did we tell you it's going to be online too?
No, we didn't say that. So it is, yes, it's going to be online. And we're going to do some pops, which is like places where people can all come together in a house or wherever you want to meet and Zoom in from the live class with a group of people with you. So there we'll have more info. What would it take? Because globally, back to Samantha's question about how would consciousness in parenting change the world? How about we start? How about we already have started? How about we turn it up?
Yes, so true. Yes, absolutely. And what will it take to have just some, oh, what does Grant say? I said, Grant, come to India.
He says he might have a city or two he can suggest.
Yes, please do. That would be awesome. Go for it.
Well, I just want to say thanks to all of you for popping on here. I'm very grateful that you joined us. And Grishma and Samantha, am I missing any hosts? I think Datu hopped off. But Datu too. And yeah, thank you for all that you guys are doing for this. And Chandana and Isha, you guys are wonderful. And I'm just excited to be creating with you.
And we're looking forward to having you in India, Marnie. Truly, how did you get so lucky?
Truly, how did we get so lucky?
I know I have met you, we've met you, Isha and I have met you, and every time that I speak with you, there's this energy of nurturance and kindness that you be, which literally melts everything, all the unconsciousness around you.
Thank you for that.
I second that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too.
So excited to have you coming to India with this beautiful class. And truly, I really wonder how much fun we can have.
Me too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to come back to you with which city we're going to be in, so stay tuned. And
soon.
Yes.
And Canada, yes, it's coming too.
Yeah.
Just for Grant.
I'm down for Canada. We'll just make it a world tour. We can do that.
Wonderful. Yeah, that sounds lovely.
I'm going to hop on too. I'm going to be on the same boat.
Okay.
Absolutely. Done. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Good morning.
Thank
good afternoon
you.
from whichever part of the world you are from. Bye.
Bye.